Some behave very well but do not preach the cult of Krishna consciousness, whereas others preach but do not behave properly. You simultaneously perform both duties in relation to the holy name by your personal behavior and by your preaching. Therefore you are the spiritual master of the entire world, for you are the most advanced devotee in the world. Srila Prabhupada's purport. These verses are spoken by Srila Sanatana Goswami to Srila Haridas Thakur. Sanatana Goswami clearly defines herein the bona fide spiritual master of the world. The qualifications expressed in this connection are that one must act according to the scriptural injunctions and at the same time preach. One who does so is a bona fide spiritual master. Haridas Thakur was the ideal spiritual master because he regularly chanted on his beads a prescribed number of times. Indeed, he was chanting the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times a day. Similarly, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement chant a minimum of 16 rounds a day, which can be done without difficulty. And at the same time, they must preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to the gospel of Bhagavad Gita as it is. One who does so is quite fit to become a spiritual master for the entire world. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Shrishtham Manamapi Shakti Putram Atra Surupam Rupam Tasyagajamurapurim Bhatarim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Pitanscha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These two qualifications mentioned by Srila Sanatana Goswami summarize the characteristics of a guru. Of course, there are many details of what is proper behavior and what is proper preaching. But in summary, a guru is one who behaves properly and one who preaches properly. Guru may just behave properly, but not preach. He may preach properly, but not behave very well. One who does both is qualified to be the guru of the whole world. So, these are the symptoms by which one can recognize a guru. Most people don't make a very deep study of the person they wish to accept as their guide, but one is enjoined to do so. Usually people do so intuitively, at least to a large extent intuitively, or under advice from others, or or under pressure from others. You should take initiation from this person. Or ecclesiastically, Srila Prabhupada uses this phrase. Seems that Srila Prabhupada used this particularly in connection with taking from a family guru. That my father's guru's son should be my guru. Like that. That's the common system that used to be in there in India, but it's not so very common nowadays. It was common until recently. Kula Guru, Guru of the family. So, intuitively, one may feel or trust that here is a person who will never cheat me. This whole world is full of cheating. The cheating propensity is very strong. Pram pramad vipralipsa karna patav. These are the 4 propensities of a conditioned soul. To be mistaken, to be mistaken about some particular point, to be illusioned, which means to be mistaken about one's whole conception of life is mistaken, to have the cheating propensity, and to have imperfect senses. So they're all mixed up. They all interrelate with each other. One who does not cheat, he is fit to. One who does not cheat is fit to be a guru. That means that there are some people who do cheat who are supposedly gurus, and how they cheat we can understand from this acha pracha. One's behavior and one's preaching. If one cheats in either way, then cannot be accepted as a proper guru. So, this cheating in philosophy means one presents a wrong understanding. Presents, for instance, that we are all one. The goal of life is just to realize that we are all God. Or some so-called guru may preach that I am God. Yeah. Well, if you're interested to know, Srila Prabhupada on more than one occasion, so I'm told, I didn't personally witness it, said that during class and the curtains open, don't bow down, just go on hearing. So you may wish to incorporate that into your practice of Krishna consciousness. We learn how to behave properly, or what should be done, from Guru, who teaches us according to Shastra, and according to the previous acharyas. So one who himself doesn't behave properly, that means if, for instance, someone runs off with his secretary, with his female, or has some sexual affair with his female secretary. I'm saying this because when Srila Prabhupada was present, there was one complete rascal who was very popular in America especially, who declared himself to be to be Krishna. And he had many followers, and devotees of the Hare Krishna movement didn't like him. They thought he was a big cheat, which he was. Big cheater. And eventually he married his female secretary, at which point his mother denounced him. His mother he had declared to be Durga. He got a bit mixed up there because Durga is the sister of Krishna in Krishna Leela, not the mother. But after his mother, because she didn't like him marrying an American woman, thought that was below his dignity. So at that point his mother, who had declared to be Durga, he declared she's no longer Durga. So anyway, he's not even known of nowadays. I saw his photo in a house somewhere in Gujarat, but otherwise I hadn't heard of him for years and years and years. So another Actually, they all have wrong siddhanta. Their preaching is wrong. And their behavior is wrong, all these cheaters. There was another one, Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada often used to say that we don't charge you $35, we give the Hare Krishna mantra free. Not that you have to spend $35, which in those days was a lot of money for this guru who taught what he called transcendental meditation. Now I heard it, just recently I was told it's to $2,000 now to get the mantra. The value of the dollar's gone down, and maybe the value of the mantra's gone up. But actually the mantra, you can't put any price on it. The price that one is supposed to give is to completely surrender oneself to the guru. But these cheating gurus, they can't exact surrender because implicitly the people know that they are being cheated, and therefore they won't give themselves fully, nor is it demanded that they give themselves fully. So either in achar, in their behavior, or in their prachar, actually this mantra selling guru, in his personal behavior, he wasn't fallen like that. He came from a traditional Mayavadi lineage, and traditional Mayavadis, they're quite well behaved. They don't indulge in illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, or intoxication, apart from some of them drink tea, which is not a major vice. We don't do it, but we can't say that drinking tea is on the level of illicit sex. But if someone was drinking tea, you also wouldn't think they're a very bona fide guru. It's not that we have tea breaks. We're chanting our rounds and in the middle we have a tea break. Or something like that. So, a guru is one who doesn't cheat, although many, they seem to be in it. Well, they seem to be very materialistic, actually. Many so-called gurus. Anyone who has a little of that very rare propensity called common sense, they could, from a mile away, they could understand that most of the so-called gurus nowadays are just cheaters. Because they're materialistic. Materialistic means they're interested in Labh, Puja, Pratishta, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said are he mentioned various weeds that contaminate the bhakti lata. That means that someone who's practicing bhakti, they can become contaminated by various propensities or mispractices. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Nishidacha kutinati jibe hingshan labha puja pratishta jata upashakagan. He gave an example of prominent weeds that choke the creeper of bhakti. So he mentioned, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned nishid acha, which means forbidden behavior, like drinking tea. That's a minor one, but it is also forbidden. Kutinati means diplomatic behavior. Behaving very nicely with someone, but with another motive. A motive to exploit them. Jiva hingshan, that's a very broad term. Jiva hingsha is often understood to mean meat eating, but any way in which one, in the broadest sense, jiva hingsha means in any way one has any malice toward anyone, That is called jiva hingsha. Then labh, the desire for monetary gain. Puja pratishta, the desire to be honored and worshipped. So this labh, puja, pratishta is very prominent in many, it's so obvious in some of them, just to, I don't want to say any names, but there's something like that, Shaviranka, Sri Sri, something like that, based in Bangalore. So he's quite obviously after money. He charges some huge amounts of just, only rich people can become his, I don't know if they call them even disciples, his followers, because his courses are so expensive. And his pictures, everything, they're very prominent among all these bogus gurus, is that their picture is everywhere. Whereas Prabhupada, he was so transparent in as much as he promoted Krishna. Everywhere Prabhupada promoted Krishna, and he fought for Krishna. He took so much trouble for Krishna. So we're very satisfied with Srila Prabhupada as being a bona fide guru. So yeah, some of these people, they charge for their course, and so some of them become very, very rich. Of course, Srila Prabhupada also took lots of money, but he used it all for Krishna. No one had any qualms in giving money. Even sometimes he would, just like for that Detroit mansion, the Fisher mansion, Prabhupada actually asked people, give hundreds of thousands of dollars. But they were quite happy to do so because it was specifically for purchasing a building for Krishna. And they're still satisfied because they can see that's, Prabhupada didn't take it for himself. There is a statement which Srila Prabhupada himself didn't quote as far as I know. It's a Shastric quote. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur quoted that Guruvo bahavo santi shishas vittapaharaka durlabha sadguru devi shishya santapaharaka. This is spoken by Lord Shiva to his wife Parvati. There are many verses, such verses, important verses spoken by Lord Shiva to Parvati. He says that there are many gurus who are expert in taking away their disciples' money. But there are very few gurus who, sadguru, very rare to find someone who takes away all the distress of their disciple. So, like I say, Srila Prabhupada sometimes took away the money, but he gave Krishna. And it wasn't his general policy. In fact, I was just mentioning about the Detroit mansion purchase, that one of the donors there was Ambarish Prabhu. So he was first coming to the Detroit temple, and he was known as Bhakta Alfred, Bhakta Alf, or whatever. But the devotees didn't know that he was a multi-millionaire. He didn't tell them. And he was very satisfied to be with them because but I'll tell you, there's an incident. You heard this already, but I'll tell it anyway. It's quite a tellable story, repeatable anecdote. How Bhakta Alf, who was coming regularly, he heard devotees talking about how they need to repair all the windows in the building. This wasn't the Fisher Mansion because they hadn't got it yet at that time. They had to repair all the windows because of the terrible cold in the winter in Detroit. But they didn't have enough money. It cost them $20,000 or something, which was far beyond their budget. So the next day, Alf came in with a check for the required amount. And on it there was written the name Alfred Ford. And the boys asked, Ford, $20,000? Are you, because Ford is Detroit name, internationally famous. He said, yeah, I'm from the Ford family. He said, oh, you didn't tell us? What? He said, but I'm very satisfied being here because I can understand that. I didn't tell you that but I'm very satisfied because I understand the devote. Everywhere else I went, people were interested in my money, but the temple president here, Govardhan, he just treated me as a person, and he was concerned about me and my benefit, my spiritual welfare. So that is the actual guru who one can trust, just like Alfred Ford, who would later give a much bigger donation after he was initiated to Srila Prabhupada, and is still doing so. Because he felt that what Srila Prabhupada gave me is far more than any money that I have. That's stated in Shastra, that if the Guru even teaches one shloka or even one word, then the disciple can never repay his debt. It's not repayable, because what the Guru gives is transcendental, and the disciple, he can't give anything transcendental to the Guru, but he's supposed to give some dakshina. Actually, it's supposed to be sarvartapanam guru. One is supposed to offer everything that one has to the Guru. But what can one give? So the idea, I am giving, I gave a donation to my Guru, and that's a funny way of thinking. Because the disciple should think, anyway, I don't have anything that belongs to me. And Guru gives instruction, just like here, achar prachar, practical guidance in what to do, how to live in Krishna consciousness, and what is the proper siddhanta. So if one teaches the proper siddhanta of Krishna consciousness, makes everything very clear, so that one can differentiate reality from illusion. That is what a guru is supposed to teach the disciple, how to differentiate reality from illusion philosophically, and how to act in such a way that one may be purified and advance in Krishna consciousness. So because the Guru does this, then the disciple has implicit trust, just like the children have implicit trust in the parents, that the children can never imagine that the parents will cheat me or act in any way other than is for my benefit. And of course the Guru is better than one's mundane parents, because mundane parents, generally speaking, they don't know what is for one's actual benefit. They want to benefit the children. Of course, in the Western countries, this example may not go very well. Even if they benefit, then they think, well, now, by age 18 latest, the children should be out of the home, because I already did enough for you, so what are you doing here now? Now leave me to enjoy my life. But at least before the modern age, when people were so selfish, then it was just expected that the children, they would completely trust their parents, because their parents sacrificed everything for the sake of the children. And Guru is more than that, because he knows what is best. The parents, they may not know what is best. They don't understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada said about his own father that he was a pure devotee, but that he learned clearly Srila Prabhupada learned the philosophy of Krishna consciousness in its details from his guru. And that also, when we say the guru, that means that just like with myself, I was taught the teachings that Srila Prabhupada had taught largely via the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, my godbrothers, who were senior to me when I joined. So Srila Prabhupada probably also, he said that about Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, that he learned so many things from him. And from others also he must have learned, although in another sense we understand that Srila Prabhupada is eternally perfect, even before he came to this world, but even eternally perfect devotees, and even Krishna himself, go through the process of schooling and learning. So, that faith is there, that someone who will never cheat me. He'll tell you, give me the teachings that first of all one should have faith, and this faith one should see and judge and examine carefully before one accepts a guru. One should see that this person is actually tattvadarshi, one who sees and understands the philosophical conclusions of Krishna consciousness. Someone who knows. Guru means teacher, so they have to teach, they have to understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. When we say philosophy, that's it's not a speculative philosophy, but it means to understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in a way that, again, it's not just philosophy, but it's understanding in such a way that one can distinguish reality from illusion and act on that basis. This acha and pracha, proper behavior and preaching, they are intimately connected. Because if one has the wrong philosophical understanding, then one will behave wrongly. If one thinks that Krishna is just one of many gods, then one won't worship Krishna with the same devotion, for instance. Or if one thinks that the holy name is just a means to an end, we're chanting Hare Krishna, but ultimately we have to give that up and merge into Krishna, some nasty idea like this, then we cannot have actual bhakti. We cannot sacrifice for Krishna in the same way. Or even if we do appear to be very rigid in our devotional practices, it's all full of self-motivation. Even the desire to merge into the supposed oneness is all material desires which may manifest or may pose as bhakti. So, Guru means one who we can have complete trust in, who will never cheat us. His behavior is perfect, his preaching is perfect, even if when I gave that example of Prabhupada taking the money, and actually he did send his disciples out to distribute books and bring in money, but that was for printing more books and for building the temples, particularly in Mayapur and Vrindavan. So, nevertheless, devotees, they didn't feel that they were being misused by Prabhupada, because they knew, again, that all the money is for Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada also was insistent that in his temples, the devotees not just be sent out for money collection, but they should distribute books, so that they would, and by devotees distributing books, they felt spiritually gratified because they knew that they were taking money from people, but they were giving them Srila Prabhupada's books, which can save these people's lives spiritually. So they didn't feel that they were just being used to raise funds. So both ways, they gave the book to the people, and they gave the money to the BBT, which used that for building temples and for printing more books. And Srila Prabhupada insisted that the devotees have regular temple programs, study the books. Srila Prabhupada himself sacrificed more than everyone. So in this way we're fully satisfied that Srila Prabhupada is not cheating us. So these are two basic qualifications of a guru. He teaches according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, acts according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, and we can fully trust. So people ask about, well, how can you know who is a guru? Well, just find someone like that you can fully trust. It's a very dangerous thing otherwise, because if you can't trust, then you can't surrender. If you don't surrender, then what are you doing? What's the point of accepting a guru anyway? So accepting a guru is not some kind of some deal, some business deal that, okay, I take initiation from you and I praise you and I give you money and you get your labh, puja, pratishta, your money and your name, fame, honor and worship, and you just make some arrangement for me also, so that I can be materially happy. Or you give me blessings so I can increase my labh, puja, pratishta. It's not a business deal. It's something on a completely different platform. Many people used to criticize that you see all these movements that came up in the 1960s and 1970s. Behind them all there's some big guru who's just cheating people and living comfortably. But anyone who observed Srila Prabhupada could not claim like that. That Srila Prabhupada, in one sense, Prabhupada was living comfortably. He had comfortable quarters in many of the centers he went to, not all of them. But he didn't stay in any of them very long is one thing. He was pushing himself to travel everywhere and preach, and he worked so hard. And he used those plush facilities for inviting, there was a standard thing that Srila Prabhupada, in different places he went to, the devotees would invite elite people of the society for Srila Prabhupada to preach to. So it wasn't that he had all these plush facilities just for living comfortably. But he was working hard. One thing, he didn't stay in them long enough to enjoy them anyway, because he was always on the move, which is very difficult to travel all the time for someone who's more than 70 years old. So you couldn't accuse him of just enjoying the facility, but then he wouldn't be lolling on a comfortable bed for 12 hours a day. He'd be up in the night translating books. And he used those facilities for preaching to his own disciples, and especially to the various members of the elite, the intellectual, political, especially intellectuals. So who would feel comfortable to, or they'd be more inclined to visit a guru who appears to be very important, because most people have no idea of who's important. Srila Prabhupada was just as important when he was penniless in India as he was later when he was the head of the international Hare Krishna movement. It wasn't that he became more important or a better devotee, but people didn't recognize his greatness. So when he had many followers and a big movement and nice quarters, then people would feel, yes, I'd like to, let me go and see and talk, see what he has to say. So those facilities were meant for preaching Krishna consciousness. So in this way, the devotees, even though people might accuse in various ways Srila Prabhupada and his followers, the followers of Srila Prabhupada are very satisfied that here is someone who will never cheat us. And in this way they could place their full trust in him and surrender to him. So that's one definition of a guru. There may be so many definitions. Guru is one who behaves properly in devotional service and preaches devotional service exactly according to Siddhanta. That's one definition. There are various definitions given. In short, we can say someone who will never cheat us, who will give us everything. And what will he take from us? Well, there's nothing we have to give. So what can we give? So he won't materially exploit us. No such motive. No question of any such motive. May take our money and use it in Krishna's service. In fact, he will insist that everyone should use all their money in Krishna's service. And we see with Srila Prabhupada that he was most expert in using money. He didn't. We were just discussing yesterday how through mismanagement and various things, a lot of the money in Krishna that comes into the Krishna conscious movement just gets lost or misspent or whatever. But Srila Prabhupada is very concerned, that he was very observant and alert that not even a paisa would get wasted. Even he was very alert even to petty theft, which was very common in the Indian centers. He was very alert to all of that. He didn't like even a penny to be misspent. So he was very, very expert in these activities. He criticized the American mentality that, well, if there are any problems, you just solve it with some money, that's all. So, something broke, just get a new one. Well, why did it break in the first place? Why don't you repair it? He said that American civilization looks very good. It's not so good, but they just cover up all the faults with money, that's all. So Srila Prabhupada was very observant in this way, that all the money that came should be used for Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said that so much money is coming for Krishna, and we accept it. But if we use 1 farthing for sense gratification of the money that's given, then we go to hell. Whew! Very strong statement. So, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to those who are following in his footsteps. He taught us to give everything to Krishna. Therefore, we wanted to give everything to him. So that's one definition of a guru, that one who we can fully trust to never cheat. Not so many cheaters in the world. So, Hare Krishna. Any question about this? Yeah. Okay, I saw your hand up first.
Thank you very much for the very nice class.
That's a standard thing that's said nowadays. What in particular did you find very nice, more than other classes?
I find that it's nice you're talking about
Can I, at least if you're with me, please don't say this after a class. If there's some specific point, you can say so. Because it's become like a ritual to say, thank you for the wonderful class. So, I guess I shouldn't catch you out on it because you're just new here, but it's like saying good morning or something like this. It becomes just a ritual. Yeah, okay. Just, you can ask a question. What's the question?
You said that the Guru gives Krishna to the disciple, but the disciple gives service to Guru, correct?
Yeah. The disciple serves the Guru, but with the understanding that really I have nothing to give. A disciple may give a donation, but he shouldn't think, well, I'm giving, and now I'm benefiting the Guru. But rather he should think that it's my good fortune that the Guru is accepting this to purify me. Not that I've got anything to offer. That should be the attitude. And he knows that the service will be not enjoyed personally by the Guru, but that will be offered to Krishna. So, transparency. Srila Prabhupada used this word in relation to the Guru, transparency. So, Srila Prabhupada very much had that, where we saw money was coming in, and so much money was coming in, but the devotees saw books are being printed, temples are being built. So they were quite confident that Srila Prabhupada, he didn't have some secret Swiss bank account or something like this. He was directly using all the money for Krishna. Therefore they had great faith that they would sacrifice to work hard and bring in more and more money. Not that the aim of the movement is to generate money, but particularly at that time, because that was a great expansion stage. We didn't have all these nice temples like this one here. This was purchased, this building, I believe, by Nityananda Prabhu, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He organized the book distribution here and purchased this building. And the farm, which I'm going to just now, New Talavan farm. So we didn't have all of this, so there was a time when that was required. It may not be required just now to bring in such large amounts of money, although if there are large amounts of money, we can also, there's always plenty more to do in Krishna consciousness, but particularly at that time, there was a need to establish centers like this, so a lot of money was being generated. But just like this building was, and then devotees could see that their hard work in distributing books had resulted in a center being established. So they were very satisfied. They didn't think that someone is keeping money for themselves or misusing it, misspending it. Yeah. What's your question?
What is the position of a devotee or a guru who he knows Krishna as the Supreme Lord and he's teaching that to others, but he's also using some funds for sense gratification?
Well, the question, what if someone is teaching the right thing and more or less doing the right thing, but he uses some of the money that comes into his hands for sense gratification? Well, I just quoted Srila Prabhupada on that if you use a farthing for your own sense gratification, then you go to hell. So it's very dangerous. Very dangerous position. Very dangerous, walking on a tightrope. So everything should be used for Krishna. And again, what constitutes sense gratification? If someone's using everything for Krishna, then there is no sense gratification. Just like when Srila Prabhupada came into Australia, the devotees had hired a Rolls Royce car, which is the most expensive car. They didn't buy one, they hired it. But even to hire it, only very rich people can have that. And it's a symbol of being in the topmost strata of society. And of course the devotees, they were dancing in the streets, chanting Hare Krishna with obviously not very wealthy people by their thongs. What do you call those? Hawaii chapels. What do they call them in America? The shoes. Flip-flops. Yeah. So the newspaper reporters, they wanted to lampoon Srila Prabhupada for that. Because there's this idea that religious people should be very poor, which is also good. But so they were saying, how come you're I can't remember exactly, but how come you're in a Rolls Royce? And Prabhupada said that, well, the Guru is God's representative. God rides in a gold car. So actually this Rolls Royce is not good enough. You should have provided a gold car. But as you don't have anything else, this is the best they can do. So Srila Prabhupada turned it around on them. But then, you really have to have the same, to say that, you really have to be on a very high level like that as Srila Prabhupada. So, sadhu savdhan. Don't go and hire a Rolls for yourself. I'm representing Krishna, so I should have a Rolls Royce. You get out of the Rolls Royce and ask people for donations for books. Please give a donation. I have to make the payments on my Rolls Royce. I better don't do that. Live as a simple brahmachari. Brahmachari life is very simple, very nice. No headaches. Be austere. Give everything to Krishna. Yeah.
Few years back, a couple of years back, actually, Chandramani Maharaj was in Boston and gave a class on that. He was saying that a few years back, GBC had done a study for North American and the Western countries, 10 Western countries, to find out why most brahmacharis are living the same way. So they found out three important reasons. One of them, the second reason was, first was he's talking about relationships and others. They are not getting along well, so they end up married in the opposite sex, and that's what they need. Second most important reason was also that the political authorities are sending out brahmacharis to get money.
Mm-hmm.
Why not also get money, giving money?
All right, I'll repeat that. Chandramani Maharaj, you are saying, said that the GBC, maybe it's North American GBC, had done an investigation why the brahmacharis are leaving the temples. I think that was some time ago, because there are no brahmacharis to leave the temples these days. And as we found on this visit to America, there's some temples they're saying we don't even want brahmacharis. Better without them. Don't have brahmacharis at all. So why are they leaving? One reason is because poor relationships between the devotees. Another reason is because they felt they were being exploited by the temple presidents who just send them out, bring more money, bring more money, bring more money. So, unfortunately we hear this many times. People say, well, I feel the temple authorities, they just wanted to use me and exploit me. Then what can happen is if town presidents who are more smart, they see that this person is good at bringing money, so they arrange for that person's sense gratification also. So that way they all benefit, not spiritually. So you bring money and you can also have something, or we'll provide you this facility, that facility, but who is looking after people's spiritual life? That we have to see. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It's a bit late now, but if the book was covered, that would be a better way to respect Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita than keeping it with this torn cover.